Hello, everyone. It is the early hours of Christmas Eve, December 24th, 2018. I want to go ahead and just start with my early hours date stamp, 4:37 a.m. So with that, I want to go with the fair use clause in good faith. This work contains fair use of copyright and non-copyrighted images from the public domain in the web for non-commercial and nonprofit educational purposes. This work is distributed free of charge. The author has neither monetized this work or sought any profit from its distribution. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. This is research. This video I'm going to do a little bit different than I've done any of my other videos. This remix combines short excerpts from different source materials and creates a new message about the effect of provocative rhetoric in times of economic crisis. And this is about economic crisis. Works that create new meaning for the source material may be considered fair use. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and we're going to discuss what I had talked about in my first video. I had said I wanted to do Pet Goat, which is an interpretive project that was done by an employee of the Rothschilds. I will bring that up here in a second. It's going to involve animation, and so I'm going to show a couple different source films, and that's why I felt I needed to put this added disclaimer up. Again, this was put out 6 years ago, so just keep that in mind as you're watching this entire video, the time that this was done. I'm going to go ahead and have to split this video into two videos in and of itself because I can already tell it's going to run over with the things I'm going to add to it. So we've got this president here. I think we know what happened 18 years ago in this classroom. If you watch my last video, I'm going to actually play the excerpt from this, what these kids were chanting. This was the book he was reading at the time. If you've watched any of my prior videos, you understand what that book means to the group that he operates from. So, again, we've got this from Heliofont. I'm going to go ahead and just show you a couple different frames here. This is the content that's within it. We've got a little bit of a highlight there. That makes it a little bit easier to see, I think. If I put this here to block it. There we go. So anyway, who is the leader of the Illuminati? Jacob Rothschild. They call the leader of the Illuminati the Pindar or Marquis de Lebeau, meaning King Noble. Again, the true current Pindar is the head of the Rothschild family as it has been for several hundred years. We have last year and the year prior, they had started dumping massive amounts of U.S. dollar assets in general, property, everything. They just started to get it off their books. This family's worth trillions of dollars. You will not find them in Forbes' list of the, I think it's the 100 most richest families in the world. They're not listed anywhere. So we go to the Pet Goat video, Wikipedia, look it up here. Who it was directed by, Louis Lefebvre, produced by, written by. It's got a nice musical score with it. Production company called Heliofont. One film was done. That was all it ever did. The release date, again, here's the release date. It's 7 minutes long. I'm not going to play more than probably 2 to 2.5 minutes of it because, frankly, I'm not going to touch most of it. And I don't like this video at all, and you'll see why. Anyway, we've got the gentleman here again. This is his professional profile from probably several years back, but assistant sales at Edmund D. Rothschild. So as you watch this video, remember the year it was put out, and again, the fact that this was done by a Rothschild employee. And you got to ask the question again, why would that have been the case? So we've got some frames here. I'm going to go ahead and start the video in just a moment and give you a general idea of what this video is about. Here is its inspiration.
Get ready to read all these words on this page without making a mistake. Look at the letter at the end and remember the sound it makes. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready to read this word the fast way. Get ready. Kid. Yes, kid. Sound it out. Get ready. Kid. Sound it out. Get ready. Kid. What word? Kid. Yes, kid. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready. Seal. What word? Seal. Yes, steel. Read these words the fast way. Get ready. Play. Yes, playing. Get ready. Must. Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready. Kit. Yes, kit. Get ready. Steal. Yes, steal. Get ready. Play. Yes, playing. Get ready. Must. Yes, must. Go ahead and pick your reader up from under your seat. Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 153.
Okay, so we can go ahead now at this point and move forward, and you already have an idea what was going on in the classroom that day, what was being recited, what this was about at its core, and why it's being reenacted again by a Rothschild, which was in charge of the first one in real life. So this is just taking it up a notch, and they always do something that's called predictive programming, and what the occult always do is a warm up. So what happened on that day 18 years ago was just a warm up for what is about to take place. So we'll start that video in just a moment. It's a concentration camp. There's 6 lights here. You can't see it. It's a bit overexposed. We've got the goat with the mark of the beast on its forehead. Reptile skin. There's a fire burning from outside a window that he sees now. He's in the classroom, dancing. There's the teacher. There's a lot of things going to go on here. We've got this, a map, some snow, things that are on the wall. That's for sure. He morphs into our last president because they were not only related, they have the same agenda. He just graduated as Tassawan Ford. From 2017 to 2018. The drop of the apple. This is important coming up. He's in a warehouse, and you can see these windows, that gust of snow that just smacked that pane right there. The ripped flag. You've got a tower here with midnight on it. You have the dual system right here coming down. Egyptian boat. Bin Laden. Oil. Statue of Liberty. A human developing with a reptile watching it. I believe this is actually supposed to be Yeshua and they're mocking him, but a lot of people think that's the Antichrist because the all-seeing eye on his forehead. And you have a boy laying here, probably starving or radiation disease, but you've got the inverted all-seeing eye, markets plunging, war. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video at this point, and we'll go frame by frame at the beginning of it, and I want to show you some very important things because I think they're literally around the corner. Okay, I'm sorry, the contrast on this is pretty bad. You can't even see the details on his face, but I guess ultimately it doesn't matter. I just want to show some of what is actually going on here. You've got the Masonic floor. I don't know if people are watching what is going on in entertainment right now, but you're seeing this pattern everywhere. It's the Freemasonic floor. They use it in all their lodges, and it's patterns that are on entertainment right now. You've got the 5-sided star, which is satanic, believe it or not. seems like everything is, but nonetheless, it does mean something. You've got the point that came up on the wall right where the dragon was. You're going to see the next frame where it now moves up. He sits in a chair very quickly, and then the shadow passes up onto the wall where there is, unfortunately, you will not be able to see this, and I'm sorry, but it was, you'll see it in another view when the light goes back on in this room. Nonetheless, there is a shark right here, and as this side of the star moves, it heads up the east coast of the United States, which was right there. I had a vision back in May of this year that I believe was the same thing that we're seeing here. I was awake at the time, thinking of something completely unrelated, and all of a sudden I was standing at a table next to someone. The vision started, and it was only about 7 seconds long. I looked over to my right, and I was looking at about waist height, and we were standing in front of this table. And I was just about to look up and see what the person was that I was adjacent to. I noticed he had a robe on that looked like the robes that either Yeshua or his disciples would have worn 2,000 years ago. He had a gold belt on, and before I could look up and see who it was, he reached forward and there was a square frame on the table. And it had glass in it, and I couldn't see all the details, but I could see the circle of the Earth globe on it, or let's just put it this way, it was a circle with the Earth. So he picked it up and only took it about a foot off the table, and he slammed it down with quite a bit of force. The glass broke, and he put a very deep cut into his thumb, and at that point, he lifted his thumb up off of the frame and started to drag it from the south end of the frame, or closest from him, onto the center of the globe, and that was the end of the vision. I did not see specifically where it was. It could have been anywhere in the United States. I did have the distinct feeling it was, but it did run from a south to north because I knew I was looking at a globe model, and it ran from the bottom to the top. That's how he ran his finger across the globe. So I think this is kind of what is being seen here in this scene. You've got a lot of things going on. There's the Masonic floor again. This is the dragon. This is the bifurcation of the brain. Basically, you see the dragon on the one side, not on the other. This is about the tribulation and separation of the wheat from the chaff, because all of us are going to be here through this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do a video about the false teaching of the pre-tribulation rapture. There is one rapture coming, and it is at the very end for those that remain alive. There's so many things in the Bible that say it. I don't even know how people cannot get that, but nonetheless, I'll bring that up in yet another video. So anyway, we've got the map of the U.S. right here. We've got a burning house. We have a shark. Evolution. 4 stars. We have actually a wall plate here you can't see, but there's an outlet. The prongs are not clear on it. They should be, because everything else is in high detail. I'll be bringing that up here shortly as well. I'm hesitating actually saying anything too much about this. This is a really great picture, so I'll come back to this exact same one later on in the video and do an analysis once we get further on, because this is stuff that's pertinent later on. So we'll go on to the next frame. He's doing what these people always do, which is the devil's claw. This goes back many decades. This is not trendy stuff. This has been going on for, I would say, probably arguably 100 years and maybe much longer. But anyway, we've got even President Reagan. We've got Alfred Hitchcock doing this stuff back in the 50s. I have never made this symbol myself, but I know exactly what it means. I'm going to do a video on that too at some point. You can see him doing it right here next to her, because he knows who she is in real life. These royal people are royal, but they're of a royal bloodline. It does say in the Bible at the end, all will be revealed and nothing will remain hidden, and it is all coming out now. There are so many pictures of things these people are doing that we had no idea of. So anyway, back to this video again. We've got him turning around when this star hits the wall. We've got the shark here again. We have the burning house. The shadow was on this as it ran up the east coast with this other point of the star. Now, we have Mr. Bush, or morph into this gentleman, excuse me, doing his little wink. Bit of a wicked laugh going on here. I'm just going to show you the frames I'm doing an analysis of, and then we'll go back real quickly again. So, got the girl. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 figures. We've got a back wall with quite a bit of stuff going on. We've got looks to me like an Easter bunny. We've got a Christmas stag. We've got a door, and we've got a calla lily. And the room goes dark at a point. We've got a lotus that splits in two. When the girl drops the apple, it bumps into his foot and begins to bloom. He looks down, sweating. You see him in a window right here. Again, you see the window pane with the snow that hits on this particular window pane. And you pull back away, and there is writing in the snow right here. There's two letters, W and U. And what looks like to me, almost like you've got a dot here, like there's a shark. But you also can see that this is what would be depicted, I would think, as a massive tidal wave. And a clock tower. There's other little things going on here. Markets, plunge. You can see war is written on the one. We've got the Star of David right here with the Statue of Liberty on top of it. I've heard some people analyze this thing. They believe that this is supposed to be the Antichrist. I tend to personally believe that this is actually supposed to be Yeshua, and they're just mocking him and saying that this is stronger than he is. You see the destruction of the church age right here, which is the crumbling of the church behind him. At the very end of this movie, you've got the sun, which this is always about sun worship with the Egyptians. Interestingly enough, though, he's in an Egyptian boat. So in other words, he's taken a ride with Egypt, not the other way around. And you've got the pyramids here in the background. Interestingly enough, the pyramids are even destroyed in this movie. So it's trying to basically tell you the overwhelming force of this being right here, the personification of that being. Okay, so we've got, again, this video by Heliofont. I'm sorry about the contrast here on this, so I'm just going to go ahead. I went through just a little bit of this with you, and I'm going to go to the meat of the matter, which is basically back to that picture where you can get a little bit more light and detail. You've got the dragon right here. We got Revelation 12, and another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on its heads. I brought this up in another video too, what that actually is. It is brought up in this too in iconography and symbolism. You got the shark right here, which you can't see, but it's on the chalkboard. You've got the house that's burning over here just above his head, which is not pertinent right now. They're focusing on the shark. And when the star comes up onto the chalkboard, it illuminates the shark, and it illuminates the east coast of the United States. So there we go, running up, and there's the shark. So, burning house, what we've got going on right here is we've got a placard board with several different pins that have been put inside of it. He is pointing, looks like to me, pretty accusatorily at these children. And he's also pointing towards the right-hand side. So there may be, in fact, I know there's just a lot of things that I'm not picking up here, but I'm doing my best on this. I was compelled to do it again. What I see here, we've got the pin that starts over here on the very far east coast of Florida. We've got Trump reportedly spending 16 days in Mar-a-Lago for Christmas, New Year's of this year starting today. East Coast, we've got the pinpoint of Mar-a-Lago Club. So again, we've got the shark. We've got this running right along the very edge right there. That's where the tip of Florida is. Now, we've got a class of Russian submarine. It is called the Akula Russian Shark class submarine. How the Soviet Akula changed submarine warfare. Okay, the Akula, which is Russian for shark, stunned NATO. It's extremely fast. This thing was caught, I think, 3, maybe 2 years ago, way up in the Gulf of Mexico. I believe it was off the coast of Texas. Just crazy. They had snuck right on in, right up at our back door without us knowing about it. So we've just covered this little pin. We've got a pin right here in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. Looks like it does nothing there. Now, you probably can't see this on the screen. The contrast, I don't think, is good enough, but This says 133 degrees. It was a heat anomaly detected. A couple different services picked it up. I just pulled this up off of the net today just to show you that it had been touched on. It was on March 1st, 2018. So we have one event that looks like is coming up here now, which is exactly in that location, which is Mar-a-Lago on the Florida Panhandle. We've got the heat anomaly right here. We have a pin right on the Alabama-Mississippi border. Well, we had a Tropical Storm Gordon came in. Tropical Storm Gordon makes landfall west of Alabama-Mississippi border. That was on September 4th, 2018. So we've got now this scene where we've got the shark, we've got burning homes. If you actually take this, and they're spread on this chalkboard, and you superimpose them onto this map, you're going to find that shark is right here, and the burning houses are right there. So I think we kind of know what happened just recently in California. We've got November 10th, 2018. This is covered by CNN. One of the three major wildfires roaring through California has burned its way into state history as the most destructive blaze on record in terms of structures lost, with more than 6,700 structures gone in 2 days, according to California fire officials. This just happened this morning. I just thought this was something that was interesting, so I pulled it up. Iranian ships reportedly fire rockets at U.S. aircraft carriers in the Persian Gulf. There is a lot of stuff that is about to go down. I've been watching this with quite a bit of trepidation because I see it heating up. There's a lot of stuff going on with Russia and China in tandem right now against us. We've got him winking. Okay. What does it say? He who winks his eye devises perversity. Whoever winks their eye is plotting perversity. Whoever purses their lips is bent on evil. Okay, he's pursing his lips here. Now, he's flipped his head forward in this scene. He had just been our president from 18 years ago. Then he morphs into him because they actually are genetically related, distant cousins. The tassel moves forward because he actually has now graduated. So I want to show just a couple things here on the chalkboard. We've got evolution, missing a couple letters. I think it's U-I-O. In other words, I owe you something, and it's not very nice what it's being applied here. We've got the dragon, and we've got a lightning bolt splitting the two hemispheres of the brain. This is, in my personal opinion, the aspect of the tribulation. It's separating the wheat from the chaff, the wicked from the righteous. We've got four snowflakes here. There's 1, 2, 3. There's a fourth one here, and there's also an outlet behind him that I think will pop up again later on. I'll bring up the picture of BUSH in a little bit. You have a negative Fahrenheit from a positive Fahrenheit right here, which is a big deal because what it's saying is it's going to be getting very cold. You got LOL laughing out loud right there. So you also have this, which is curious. You've got looks like a crescent, but in the most subtle way, which probably isn't even picked up on here. You got a little bit of a rosy cheek. You can see it's returning on itself right here, just the slightest bit of an edge. And you've got this object. So I'm going to show where that comes from. In my personal belief, it's the credits at the very end of this. This isn't showing up properly on the screen. Nonetheless, this is the circle I showed in the last video. And this dot appears right at the very end of the credits, and it creeps over to this, which is, this is a sun. This is a sun. And I brought that up in the last video. This is an eclipse going on right now. The book of Amos in the Bible talks about when the return of the Lord takes place, there will actually be an eclipse at noon that will interrupt the religious festivities of the day. So it sounds to me that it's going to happen on a holiday, a religious holiday. Doesn't get more detailed than that, doesn't talk about whether the holiday would, it's pretty clear to me from what I understand, this is going to be either Easter or Christmas. So we've got this that has been seen around the world. I actually might play this video just to have you take a look and see how wild this is. I'll do this, and then I will probably have to end this video as a part 1, and then I'll go into a part 2. So we will look at this. This here and this are in our system right now. I have a ton of videos I've looked at with this, but this is one of my favorite ones because it's just so clear. And the woman is very cheery because she has absolutely no idea what she's filmed. So here it is.
Okay, so here I am out here in September, and as you can see, there's obviously a really very clear planet that is right north of the sun. And wow, I would love to say it was the moon, but since the moon happens to be right here on the opposite side, there's no way it is. And since we all have been taught in school that Mercury and Venus do not show up, oh, just look at that planet just beaming and shining right now. Somebody tell me what it is. Thank you.
Okay, so she had no clue what she filmed. People have been filming this all around the world. It's always the same thing. It's always the same size. This is a brown dwarf star. This is what it actually is, Revelation 12. And another sign appeared in the heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads, 10 crowns and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. Now you've got agnostics that have been filming this around the world that don't believe in Yeshua or Christianity whatsoever. But this is written in the book of Revelation. So again, Nibiru, 7 planets. That's what it's called by some people. It's called Planet X by others. It's called the Blue and Red Kachina by the Hopi Indians. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're getting better and better every day with showing this, all this information. We also have NASA's discovery of 7 planets that conforms exactly to Zohar's description of pre-Messiah Nibiru. So we're back to him again, and I'm going to start the part 2 here in just a moment, and we'll get on to the rest of the analysis of this video.